Hi everybody, Boyd back here with you again. Welcome to another update on our Enterprise refit. I know it's been a little while here for you guys. Thanks for being patient. Had some projects that I had to get out of the shop for some of my clients, and just kind of took a little break from the old refit here for a couple of weeks, and we're back at it now, you guys. I've got all my other work cleared out. I'll be doing a lot of videos over the next couple of months. This time of the year, going into fall, winter, is always much better for me to work in the shop here overall because of the temperature and everything, and just everything seems to line up a little bit better for me. That's typically when I get a lot more of my own projects out the door. So what we're back with today, you guys, is we left off with the last part of the refit, doing a whole lot of work on the saucer. I think I had 4 or 5 videos in a row on that. So I thought we'd take a little bit of a break from that this time and come back with a different part of the model that I'm working on to show you the progress I'm making here, and give you guys a couple little tips about how I work some of this stuff out on this particular one. We're working on the neck area today, and I was getting into the area of lighting up the the typical photon launcher effect that we see on a lot of these builds. Some people don't light their models, but most of the time when you see this model, that they always include the launching photon torpedo effect. So I've been working on that here today, and I wanted to show you guys something really cool that I worked out here that I think is going to be interesting for y'all. We've got this little detail right here at the front that's molded in clear, as you know, and you have to do quite a bit of light blocking on that. You're going to have to spray that with a good couple of coats of black, and maybe even get in the nooks and crannies with a paintbrush, and get down in there, because it's a clear part and it's got a lot of little recesses and everything in there, and if you're going to be lighting that, it'll have light leaks like crazy. So just kind of pay attention to that, and then you can, once you get all the light leaks taken care of, you can go ahead and spray it your overall color. Now I've got my color that I use for the detail here in this area. It's kind of a dark gray color, bluish gray. But so what I was working on after that, you guys, was the lighting part of it, and I came across this really cool little product that's come out fairly recently from Jerry at HDA Model Works, and these are what they call wide angle LEDs. I believe they're 7mm, and I thought, gee, these would work really good for the photon lenses here, because they are already rectangular shaped, and they have a nice rectangle shaped slot in the backside, so you could slide this LED into. So all I had to do, you guys, was I just had to take my file and just file down the edges here a little bit, and they just dropped right in there, just absolutely perfect. So what we get now is we get a really nice little effect where the little lenses here, they light up all the way across nice and even, because that rectangle LED is lighting up the whole thing, and it's the same shape as that, instead of having like a little bright spot in the middle or whatever. So it looks really, really good. And again, the nice thing about that is that when you go to put these in, you don't have to modify this, like drill a round hole to make a round LED fit, or make some kind of little bracket for the LEDs to sit there. These can actually drop right in, and that way they come nice and close to the back of the lens here too, so they're nice and bright. And one thing I will mention, if you're gonna go ahead and put these in here, don't use CA glue to do that. Don't ever use CA glue on clear molded model kit parts, you guys. It'll absolutely destroy it. It just like totally eats it up. This comes from experience. It's just got something about it. Regular styrene in colors like black, white, whatever, it's not recommended to use CA other than just kind of holding stuff in place. It's not a bonding type glue, but you definitely don't want to use it on any kind of clear parts. It'll cause crazing, and sometimes I've seen it actually just totally disintegrate from that. So keep that in mind. So you can just use some regular canopy glue, or even maybe a little bit of regular model glue would be fine. And if you file these down right, you can push them in there and they'll fit nice and snug, kind of tight, so they're not just going to fall out. But definitely use some kind of glue on there. Now you can see right now I've got some resistors on there. Those are 1/4 watt, 470 ohm. That's my standard resistor. And actually I'm going to have to take these back off and get rid of them, because one thing you want to check, guys, on your particular control board that you're using, pay attention. If you're just hooking this up to lighting, they're always going to be on. You don't have to worry about it. But on a control board where it's going to have that little firing effect, you definitely want to have the proper setup. So like my particular control board, I went and checked the one from Tenna Controls. It doesn't require resistors here, okay? So what would happen if I had the resistors on there anyway, they might wind up lighting up very dim or maybe not at all because the resistor is limiting the amount of current getting to the LEDs on top of the resistors that are built into the control board already, okay? So that can cause a real problem. You don't want to have that all sealed up and all put together, and then you go to hook up your wiring and you find out you can't figure out why your photon launchers are not working, okay? So pay really close attention to that. And then as far as lighting goes inside the neck here, you can see I've just put one little strip of LED tape here. I'm using regular white. I like to use regular white LED lighting on the Enterprise Refit, so it's kind of more modern than the old TOS version. I'll be putting one more little 3-bulb strip right here, the shortest strip that you can cut, right in this little area right here, and that will be more than enough to light up the entire neck, you guys, on both sides. We painted it white so that light's going to reflect, and then it'll also light up down here, these little windows on the sides of the photon torpedo deck. Now, what I've done here, you guys, too, is something I was going to show you, and I'm going to get to it when we get to the next video, and we're going to get into the secondary hull. I've created this little lighting effect on my airlock doors here. Some people, when they build these models, they do it, and some don't. On the Enterprise Refit, we noticed that it had this sort of little crescent, half-moon-shaped little lighting areas right on the edges of the all the airlocks, the round-shaped airlocks on the ship. The two on the one on each side of the torpedo deck here, the one that's on the back of the bridge, and then there's one on each side of the secondary hull. So what I did to do this is I basically drilled this out a little bit undersized what the photo etch is and made notches in there on each side. You guys just took a file and notched it out a little bit on each side, and then before I dropped the photo etch in there, I just notched that out a little bit too, right on the very edge with my file. Okay, just make sure you hold it straight so it's, you know, perpendicular to the way the doors are supposed to open, and then just file a little bit off of each side there. And then when you drop this down in, you guys, you'll see a little slot on each side where light can come through now, right? And it's going to come through and make a nice little halo around that. And what you can do is you can go ahead and paint everything, you know, get most of your basic hull color painted there, leave those little slots open. Then after you do all that, come from behind and either use some canopy glue, or in my case I'm probably going to be using some of the liquid clear resin that you cure with UV light, and we'll seal that up, and we'll have a neat little lighting effect there. But I'm going to actually show you the process when we do that on the secondary hull, you guys. It was too late. I forgot to shoot that here, but we will cover that going forward. Now, for the little light placements here, I just use the kit-supplied lenses. I trim the edges down a little bit so they fit up in there nice and flush, and I'll just be gluing a couple of 0805 white SMDs to the back side of these facing upward, and that will cast my light up onto the neck here that we usually see. So that's a really simple way of doing that. By the way, a little trivia question for you guys. A lot of people wonder what this little detail part is here at the back of the neck on the Enterprise Refit. Well, that's actually called the torpedo exhaust tube or something like that. It kind of makes sense. Like when the torpedoes would fire inside before they launched out, they would need a way to, you know, vent that out of the back of the ship so it didn't build up inside the bay. So that's exactly what that is. That detail is different between the A and the Refit. On the A, this is smooth, where the fin version we saw on the earlier Refit ship. So that's what we're going with here, because we're doing the original Refit from the motion picture. So I've got my little detail done here. I've got my LEDs all set up and ready to go. We're going to be getting pretty close to gluing this together. So I want to talk about the other part of this, you guys. A critical area on this particular model is the neck, and where it meets the secondary hull, and also where it meets the saucer, you guys. We have these little pins here. And one thing you'll definitely find out on this is that you never want to take the saucer and drop it down on here until you're basically ready to make the final assembly of that, because these pins fit really super tight on there, and they're not the most robust pins in the world, and you could easily snap a couple of these off trying to get your saucer back off. So what I always do with these is, both in the saucer and the top part of the secondary hull here, I drill these holes out to the neck size bigger Now what's going to happen from that is when you go ahead and put your neck down on there, you're going to see a tiny little bit of opening there, right? You can pretty much see the edges of these pins anyway, and you normally have to putty this area anyway, so it's no big deal, you guys. Once you drop this all down on there and glue it, you'll be going in along this edge and filling it in with putty anyway. So it's just a little simple little solution that you can. Let me get these wires straightened out here, you guys, and we'll try to get this put together all the way tight. And I'm going to drop this down on here to show you exactly what I'm talking about. I got to get this blue wire out of the neck here. It's pinched in there. Okay. Bring that out the bottom and then get this put back together. Okay. Now we can run our holes. You've also, if you're lighting your model, you've also got to drill a little hole here in the center part of the neck where you're going to be dropping down all your wiring from the, you know, from the saucer to the secondary hull. I'm not sure why I've got this wire connected here just yet. Okay, so we've got that like that. We're just going to drop these wires through here really quick. And then I can put the neck down on here for you and show you. Okay, so I've got those drilled out oversized now, and you can see not only does it go down there much easier, but now it fully drops up, down on there. If you don't do that, you guys, you'll find that it'll be bottoming out. It won't want to drop in there, and it's almost like the angle of the pins and the holes is not correct, and so it's kind of putting pressure on it. I don't know if it's trying to either pry it apart or push it together on each side, so it becomes more and more difficult to drop the neck down on here the closer you get to the bottom. So that eliminates that whole problem. You can see right there you got a little bit, tiny little bit that's going to stick out, where you're going to wind up having to putty this neck. So you're going to be puttying this little area right here, and I like to do that before I put the rest of this together on the rest of the hull. That way I can kind of, you know, get at it and hold it just as a small part and work my way around it before I do that. I tend to like to do that with all the little puttied subsections that you have to do as you go along building up the entire model. This little area right here that you're going to have to putty, I'll do that. I'll do the front part of the neck before I actually drop it down onto the rest of the model. Makes it a lot easier. Okay, so there's a couple other little things I want to talk about here. As I said, in the next video we're going to get into the secondary hull. I'm going to show you how to do some modifications on these little mounts right here to help our pylons fit a lot better, because you can, if you don't do that little particular step right there, on some kits it seems to be better than others, but for the most part everyone seems to have the same little issue where what it does is those pylons will not clamp together all the way with the top and the bottom part. So when you put this upper part onto your secondary hull with the pylon wedged in between, it creates a gap right here, a pretty big one too, and we don't want to have to do that. I mean, you can always putty this in, but you want to try to keep these parts fitting as close together as they originally intended. Okay, so we'll show you the work that we're going to do to correct that particular little issue, and then a couple other little things I'll explain about how this fits together and how we get our seams looking really good on the side of our secondary hull. You can see what I've done here is I've installed my LED strip for the lighting that's going to come down through the roof of our shuttle bay. We're going to talk a little bit about how the shuttle bay fits in the model and some mods you can do to make that a lot easier, and some lighting effects and things like that in the next video, you guys. And these videos will gradually get a little bit longer. I just wanted to show you a little kind of update here today and talk about a different part of the model that I'm working on. So next time we'll come back with the secondary hull, show you how to do our little lighting around our airlocks, and we'll show you how to fit the shuttle bay in here and get some nice closed seams and everything fitting really well on the secondary hull, so we can move forward from there. Hope you enjoyed our little video today, you guys. Be back with regular updates on this now again. Thanks for being patient. We'll see you next time, everybody. Take care and happy modeling.